Hi everyone, this is Grandmaster Eugene Perelshteyn, and together with chesslecture.com, welcome to my lecture. Now today I'm going to share with you one of my games that I was pretty much on the ropes throughout the whole game, only saved by a miracle against a really strong youngster. His name is Jeffrey Xiong, and he is, I think, 13 years old, and he is already USCF rating over 2,500. He is also top player in the world for his age. I think he is number 2 in the world, under 14. Wow. A lot of strong youngsters these days, but Jeffrey is extremely strong player for his age. And this game was played at the recent Chicago Open tournament, where prior to this game, Jeffrey was in a big role by drawing against the eventual tournament winner Sargsyan, who is 2680 FIDE, and he beat up on 2 grandmasters, Kaidanov and Leon Hoyos for Mexico. So let's see what happened in this game. So e4, and I am in a combative mood against the youngster. I play c5, knight f3, and to switch things up, I decided to play e6, which could lead to various Sicilians, including the Taimanov Sicilian and the Paulsen, if white plays the main line d4. But Jeffrey surprises me with a sideline. He plays g3. The idea of this move is actually very simple. It's not in white's plan to ever play for d4. Instead, he's basically going to Fanchetto his light square bishop and then put pressure on the long diagonal. He's going to castle and try to open up the center much further with idea d4. And the main concept here is that with this move e6, it's really hard for me to activate my bishop. So that's why this g3 move is playable. Here black has many moves. In later round, very powerful grandmaster and strong player from Poland, Macieja, played d5 against Jeffrey and made a draw. But here black sort of allows white to play this d4 move. Eventually black gets an isolated pawn, which is not to the taste of some players. So I wanted to keep the game more away from these positions, more strategic, so to say. And so I answered g3 with the move knight c6. So bishop g2, and now I play knight f6. Notice that the pawn is hit, and e5 doesn't look that great because of the move knight to g4. And now queen e2, I can play queen c7, and oops, this pawn is about to be lost. So this is actually not good at all. So in the game, Jeffrey plays this interesting move queen e2. I sort of expected him to play d3 in this period of King's Indian attack, and then if I play d5, then there falls e5, and now he can play queen e2. And the game is very unusual because white is actually going to be the one attacking on the king side. So if I ever play bishop e7 and white castles, black castles, you might have already seen this plan where white gets to play h4, and then usually the rook goes to e1, and then knight comes to d2, f1, h2, g4, and whenever the pawn ever comes to h6, there must be some sacks on h6 square. There has been a number of lectures on King's Indian attack that I can refer you to chesslecture.com. In general, the key games in this opening were played by Fischer, and lately it has been kind of reawakened by top players such as Svidler and Grishuk, and even Kamsky played against Lenderman in the recent US Championship. It's a really interesting opening. But Jeffrey plays this move Queen E2. So he could still play D3 in the future, but he actually has a totally different game plan. So I play D5. This is a logical move to strike the center, taking advantage that white is sort of not developing his pieces. But he simply takes. I have to take with the knight. Of course, I could take with my queen, but you don't really want to keep the queen here for long, as this powerful diagonal could open up. And he simply castles. So in here, I was pretty much on my own. I wasn't familiar with the topical opening theory in this specific position, but I figured black didn't do anything wrong to get in trouble, so I simply can develop my pieces. So I played bishop e7. That's a logical move. And he plays rook d1, a move that kind of surprised me, but it actually makes a lot of sense. So if I play, let's say, logical move castles, he plays d4, pawn takes, knight takes, and now there is a lot of pressure on the d file as long as the diagonal. And what's bad about this position is that my c8 bishop is kind of just stuck there. It's really hard for the bishop to get developed. If I ever take the knight on d4, then c4 is coming up, and the knight is easily removed from the outpost, and I think white just has a very nice advantage here. He's going to play c4, develop the rest of his pieces. I have to waste the time of moving my queen. Just a very unpleasant situation. So here I started burning a lot of time. So let's go back to the game. And my sort of instinctive reaction was to stop this move d4. So I played the move bishop f6. Again, logical move. He plays knight c3. Another interesting move. He offers to trade knights. So if I take on c3, he can take with a d pawn, opening up the discovery attack on the queen. Queen moves, and now bishop f4. Once again, with a tempo. And if I ever move my queen, he could play bishop d6, and there is trouble, as I can't easily castle. All of white's army is out. These guys are all out, whereas my king is stuck and my bishop is stuck. Not a pleasant position to play. So, well, I can try to play e5, but that looks super risky. This is all pinned. The pawn can easily be attacked, or he can just move the bishop out of the way and use the light square weaknesses for his pieces. Again, this is not something I wanted to get involved with, and so I kind of decided to bite the bullet and simply castle. What is the drawback of this move? Well, of course, he's going to play knight e4, hitting the pawn and the bishop. And once again, I have to make some unpleasant choices. I can just simply drop back to e7, allowing d4